Hello and welcome to a vertical attitude video on solar panel charge controller upgrade. This is part 4 of my solar panel series. I'm going to change this charge controller. The reason being I didn't really like all these wires going into small terminals. So I've got a new MPPT charge controller with larger terminals. Also I'm going to change the external meter to go with a new charge controller. The old system I'm going to use down the shed because I've got a 12 volt lighting system down there. Over here is the new charge controller, and if I lift it up here you can see it's got nice big terminals on the bottom to get thick wires in. That's a problem with the old one. Small terminals, thick wires don't match. I had an issue with a leisure battery going flat, not due to the system, but because of the age of the battery. But when I took the batteries off, battery connections from the old charge controller, I had a job getting them back in with the small terminals. And as you saw, or as you can see over here, I've taped around the tops of the wires. I didn't want any spare wires making any spurious connections, being, risk of fire maybe, I don't know, short circuit, damage to the system. So the first thing I will do is I'm going to take the solar panel connection off. As you can see, I've labelled this battery 1 is a vehicle, battery 2 is the leisure battery. But as I take these cables off, I'm going to label each cable in turn, because once I get them all off I might get muddled up and not know which is which. So the first thing, I've got some labels that I printed out I'm going to stick on the cables. I've also got some wire to extend the cables, and I'm going to fit isolation switches to each battery and to the solar panel input. You can see we've got nice large terminals there. These bottom sections slide in and out so you can get your cables in. So equipment wise, I've got new terminals which I should put into there. Positive feed will only go in this, and the negative feed will go directly into a charge controller. I've got some sleeves, heater, just heat them up a little lighter, and a heat shrink, soldering kit, all the gubbins and tools, instructions obviously, some screws to screw everything in. The instructions state that it needs a vent. These get a bit hotter than the older system. So I've got a vent here, maybe a bit too big. I'm going to paint this black, and it's going to go on here. This is a 4-inch circular vent. I shall not make a 4-inch circular hole. I'm not going to make one that big, but this will be a cover outside and on the inside here. Probably at the top, heat rises as you know, and then hopefully it will flow out and it won't cause any problems. The thing is, being a bigger charge controller in a box or a cupboard like that, then we don't want any heat issues of this heating up. So this has got a screen, and that's the back of it, so heat should disperse on that. And we plug the external meter in, which is here, very similar to the old one, but it has to be this design to operate this system. Comes with wire and screw fittings, various tools, bits of tape. I may or may not use. If I use these terminals, I tend to crimp and solder, but we'll see how it goes. I've got some connectors if required, if I need to extend any wiring, and I've got these type of connectors. eBay or Amazon Prime. They're pretty good connectors. So get started, label up, get disconnected. Like the sequences, the installation sequence with your wiring, they got it as 1, 2, 3. First the batteries, leisure battery, and then the vehicle battery on this, and then the solar panel. Disconnection is the reverse. Do the solar panel, disconnect those wires first. Same with this one, disconnect those solar panel wires first, and then the batteries. But as I go, like I said, I'm going to label them up. So ready to get started, and I'll see you in a moment. Here we are. All the leads have been disconnected. I've put labels on so I know which lead goes to which, to vehicle battery, to the leisure battery, and the feed from the solar panel. This charge controller can be removed along with the meter on the exterior of the cupboard. Take this cover off, pull the lead through, fit the new meter, and put the new connection to the charge controller. These cables I've taped up as I unscrewed and took them out, basically because they're still connected to the batteries. Ideally you should disconnect from the batteries, but I thought this method would work as well. Being taped up, they're not going to touch each other and cause any sparks or issues. Take the tape off as I go and install into each new connection. So we'll see you in a moment. Here we are, the final installation. I've fitted all the isolator switches on the solar panel, leisure battery and vehicle battery. Wiring's a little bit of a mess, but it's quite stiff and not so easy to adjust. Do the thing it says you should do. There's an earth just there, so I'll need to put an earth wire to the vehicle chassis. So I'll take that out down through the side panel to the bottom. Everything's working correctly. It's doing its job. The controller here is working correctly. As you can see, it's displaying the voltage. The main battery is the leisure battery, the other one start, as you can see. Oh, and we'll just go around. So you can see what the start battery is. The unit automatically recognises the vehicle battery as a flooded, wet cell battery. On the main battery, leisure battery, it does not. So you have to cycle through and set it manually, and then it knows. Yeah, it's all looking good. So it's more substantial, and I think I'm quite happy with the installation. Thank you for watching.